On paper, this Samsung Galaxy Book looks absolutely exceptional. The only thing is though, knowing Samsung, they f***ed it up somehow. Let's figure out what it is. Open the computer, press the power button. That's what you need to do. Warranty, don't care about that. Here we have a 140 watt charger, which is all being delivered over USB Type-C. Damn it. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, there's the charging cable. How long is the cable? It is 6 feet. One thing that is pretty concerning while we have it flipped over like this is I don't see any screws. So I suspect getting into this will be a pain. All right, so we've got the Samsung Galaxy Ultra Book 4 right here. And my first impressions are that it's quite well built. On the right, we have a micro SD card reader, USB Type A, headphone microphone combo jack. On the left-hand side, 2 Thunderbolt 4s and HDMI 2.1. I do really like how the Samsung logo is all rainbowy. It's like RGB, but without the power. In the past, my experience with Samsung laptops has been that they have incredible screens and the rest kind of just sucks. But right here, this feels vastly improved. We have an all metal chassis. Pushing on it, it feels really great. Damn. Before we go any further, there's one thing that I really need to do. This sticker is super crooked. I'm just gonna get rid of it. Oh.
Back to.
Oh, this was a mistake. I have made it worse. The only thing that can make it better is the segue to our sponsor. Thanks to SHARGE for sponsoring this video. While the Galaxy Book should in theory last you all day, the SHARGE 170 power bank is jam-packed with a 24,000 milliamp hour capacity, meaning you get a full extra cycle in and then some. It has a 170 watt total output threshold with a single USB-C port supporting two-way charging of up to 140 watts thanks to its PD 3.1 standard, which means it both charges and gets charged super quick. And while you're charging your laptop up, plug in different devices to give them a top up too. The SHARGE 170 has 2 USB-C ports and 1 USB-A port for added versatility. Plus, you can even monitor your charging process with their built-in informative display. So check out this beastly battery buddy and give your devices the charge they deserve at the link down below. Wow, that sponsor segue did really clean that up. Let's boot it up. Secured by Knox. Ooh, fancy. Their Knox chip is actually pretty cool. It's its own dedicated chip that secures all of your sensitive stuff in its own little area for enhanced not getting hacked. I don't know why, but this touchpad just like makes me feel like I'm drunk. Like they have some really brutal mouse acceleration on it and I just keep on missing the stuff that I'm going for. Like let's go for the X at the top right. Missed it, completely missed it. Not even close. It feels really jello-y and you can kind of see that it seems like the polling rate is also really low. I'm almost certain that's a touchpad problem and nothing to do with like the display. One sec. Yeah, that's awesome. That is absolutely perfect. You can see like I'm moving it across here. It looks really, really nice on this display. One other thing that I just noticed is that you don't actually get the full display. If you look, we have rounded corners on the edges. It's something that they did on the Surfaces. And I guess they're doing here as well. Oh my God, mouse acceleration. Anyway, specs, the specs are good. In here we have an Intel Core Ultra 7 155H. That is 16 cores, 22 threads, and these things are really, really fast. Also, we have 16 gigabytes of RAM, which it says row of chips, so they are presumably soldered down. Actually, they're definitely soldered down because they are running at 7467 mega transfers per second. So you do get really fast RAM, at least, even though you can't upgrade it. For the SSD, we have a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD from Samsung. Love to see it, you guys make excellent drives. We also have ARC graphics, an NPU with Intel's AI boost, and to top it off, an RTX 4050, which means even though this right here won't be a super duper gaming laptop, it'll probably be a pretty darn good one. And also for content creation like video editing, photo editing, all of that stuff, it is going to be a beast. This 4050 also goes up to 80 watts TGP, which is very healthy for a 4050. You'll be getting most of the performance out of it. Oh, it's a touchscreen. We've got OLED, we've got touch, we've got, oh my God, this thing looks good. This also has a dynamic refresh rate, so it's able to go from 48 to 120 Hertz based on battery saving stuff. but do note that it's not G-Sync. So it's not going to be doing that for like frame pacing in games, it's more so just for power savings. The resolution also is a little bit more than Quad HD, so 2880 by 1800p, and hot damn, this thing is excellent. The brightness on this panel is fantastic. In SDR, you get 400 nits, and in HDR 600 nits, and for both of those, that is full screen brightness. So you don't have anything where like a little tiny window gets super bright and then when it gets blown up and it all kind of looks like junk. No, this just, no matter what, you get that full brightness out of those OLED pixels, and look at that, pitch black. Of course, this is a Samsung device, so out of the box, everything is pretty saturated on display, but it has heaps of color profiles. So if you just clamp it down to sRGB, we have an average delta E of 1.2, which is absolutely fantastic. We expect less than 2 if you want to do professional color work, so you can do that on here. Also in HDR, the content on this looks fantastic, and we measured an average delta E of 13.4, which is really quite good because HDR, you're getting both the color and the brightness to match, which is a bit more difficult. And this display does a fantastic job of that. Just look at this for a sec, Andrew. Like just the background. These little details right here. Oh. One thing I did miss before, because we just weren't connected to the internet, is that we have a Wi-Fi 6E card in here, which is quite good, but I do wish that it had Wi-Fi 7, given that this is a very premium device. Is the keyboard good though? There is one thing that's kind of annoying about this. We have an international version of the keyboard instead of like a North American one, so we don't have a big shift on the left-hand side, but oh well, I'll deal with that. I don't know how I feel about this keyboard, if I'm honest. Objectively speaking, it seems pretty good. Like if we look here, if I push on the side of the key, it actuates the entire key before I can get much dipping. Also, key to key, the force is really quite good. And the chassis is nice and stiff, so it's really nice and consistent. There is, I think it's a little bit stiffer on the right-hand side compared to the left, but it's not too bad. That said though, the actuation profile is super weird. Like there's no pre-actuation, if that makes sense. Like you press on the key, nothing happens, then it goes. I think part of it is that now that I've touched it more, there is definitely some inconsistencies in the switching force. Like some of them take a little bit more force than others, but mostly it's just kind of a strange profile. Like it, I don't know, you feel like you're really thonking, you're thonking the keyboard. Overall though, I'm gonna give it an A-. I think it's a solid keyboard. You can type on it. I got up to almost full speed there. Actually, I would say that I got up to full speed, and I think that I would get used to it in an hour or so and just be ripping on it. Performance-wise, here are the results from the labs, and overall, I would say it did quite well given that it's an Ultrabook and it's not particularly large, but at the same time, it got absolutely smashed by the Asus G14, which is both smaller and cheaper. So if you're looking for actual just raw performance, this is not what you want. In here we have 2 woofers that reach 5 watts and 2 tweeters that reach 2 watts, which should be very good sounding, especially since they were tuned by AKG. It's clear, the mids seem pretty decent. Okay, that's not too bad, that's not too bad. I can jam to that. All right, let's see how it compares to a MacBook Pro 14-inch. Killed, murdered. Nice and clear, nice and clear. Not even close. Ouch. All right, let's have a look at the webcam here. It's 1080p, 2 megapixel, and Samsung, of course, on all of their phones has been doing an excellent job with their cameras. And it looks like they have applied that here too. This is having a bit of trouble directly into the lights, but it still is exposing for my face. We turn around here. Is it able to figure it out? Yeah, no problem at all. Looks nice and clear and crisp, and overall, seems pretty good. Do we have facial recognition? No compatible camera. Oh, sadness. We do have a fingerprint reader up here on the right-hand side, which is on top of the power button. Best spot to have it. But that said, I do wish that there was facial recognition, especially at this price. We haven't talked about it yet, but you're gonna poop yourself when you find out how much this thing costs. This is the bit that I said would be annoying at the start, where we have to remove these. Oh, that actually come off really easily. Normally these are glued on and just never go back on, but maybe these feet won't be too bad. Although it also looks like they'll just fall off after a year or two, so That's not so good. 4 rubber feet, 4 Phillips head screws, and a bunch of prying later, and we are in. Up top here, we have a big old vapor chamber, which is how we were able to extract those 80 watts out of the 4050. I see a replaceable SSD right here and an upgrade slot right there for a second SSD. Love to see that. Sadly, the Wi-Fi card is soldered down, so if you want Wi-Fi 7, I don't know, just don't buy this laptop. And for the battery here, it is 73.8 watt hours, and the battery life they were able to extract from this thing is incredible. In our endurance test, we were able to get over 11.5 hours on battery in this thing, and especially given this has an OLED display, that is incredible. Intel's new processors, even though they might not be much faster, are proving to be quite efficient, and I do really appreciate that. I misread the spec sheet. I thought this was $400 less and still a bad value, but this right here, with 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, and RTX 4050, is $2,400. It's a bit of a sin because this overall, quite a good laptop. I could see a lot of people really enjoying this thing if they didn't just have every single other laptop as an option at that price. You could instead get a Zephyrus G16 for $2,000 that has the same amount of RAM and storage, but an RTX 4070, and I'm pretty sure it's the exact same panel from Samsung. Also, this is available with up to a 4070, and that config is $3,000. So, I just don't get it. It simply makes no sense for the price that they're asking to buy this laptop. It's got like a couple medium compromises, like the keyboard's okay, trackpad's kind of weird, speakers are fine. For that price, it needs to be brilliant. For comparison, the brand new Spectre X360 from HP has, as far as I can tell, the exact same OLED panel, which is a touchscreen. 4050, same specs. That one is $1,660 compared to $2,400 for this. So overall, I have no clue where that price comes from. Samsung has made the battery, they made the SSD, they made the display, and probably a bunch of the other stuff in here, and presumably they get a good price on all of those things, but you certainly do not. But what you do get is a thank you from me. Huge thanks for watching this video, hit like, get subscribed, and have a great old day. See you later.